Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked. I am insanely bright right now.
Sure.
I don't know why. There we go. Now I'm purple. Yeah, welcome back to the top 100 games of all time. We are in the final third, talking about the 30 through 21. So yeah, I don't have any segues anymore into this, so let's just go ahead and what is happening? There we go. And get started. Well, actually, let me pull up and make sure. So for this segment, this one's a little all over the place. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So for this segment, I have 2 new ones, 3 that rose, and 4 that fell.
I have 0 new ones. I have 2 that fell, and everything else rose.
Okay. Okay.
And the ones
Nice.
that fell didn't fall that much.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be the case. Like every now and then, I think we have had a few where. There we go. My headset just went crazy.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like this I was like, what is happening? Yeah, I feel like if something does fall like within the top 40, it relatively stays around the same. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with my number 30, which over the years has been kind of just a collection of this game, because I just don't want to fill in a bunch of like different spots for really the same game or the same system. Last year it was number 17, and the year before it was number 15. And that's mainly just because haven't I haven't played the base game of this in forever. And you and I still need to finish out the legacy versions of this game. So that is boop, Pandemic. I mean, God, at this point, what's to say about Pandemic? It's the, you know, poster child of cooperative games. One that still to this day I don't really know why you don't like. Besides that you just want to be on the out. You just want to be on the out group. Everyone loves it. You're like, oh, I gotta hate it.
I like the dice
Uh,
version.
yeah, which is just like not I was objectively the worst version. Um, Like it's the dice version sucks so hard. This is like, hey, let's just let fate
Hey,
decide if we
quit,
win.
quit making fun of one of my top 10 games. All right, now.
Just shut up. I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
But no, there are so many different versions of Pandemic. My personal favorite is if we're going Pandemic, like at its core, is the Iberia. But I do really like the Fall of Rome version. That one is
Which,
the one that is the most different.
yeah, I have the dice version and then the Fall of Rome. I got that in a trade just because it
Oh,
was.
okay.
I heard it was different, so I haven't played it yet, but I do have Fall.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think you will like the Fall of Rome version a lot because it's really close to like Defenders of the Realm. But with some core elements of Pandemic, they really started pushing the boundary of what is called a pandemic game, like with the Star Wars one and the World of Warcraft one. Um, but yeah, this is a collection of all of them. I have every expansion for the original Pandemic. They're all great. For just sheer variety of original Pandemic being a cooperative game. This has, to me, a perfect balance of high stress, luck, and strategy, which is really solid for a cooperative game. This is like again a perfect balance of like I've lost a lot, but I've won a lot as well. Like versus just, hey, we're gonna be brutally difficult just for the sake of being difficult. You'll never win. Like Frostpunk, for example. This one, if you play really well, I mean, they have tournaments for this game to see who can like beat the scenario the quickest. Um, so yeah, like I really enjoyed the legacies. All of them are fantastic. I have done a series on all 3 on my channel. So you can go check those out. I mean, the first one came out, what was it, 2016 was when
I
Pandemic
think.
Legacy Season 1 came out.
I don't know if it was that long.
Um, no, you're right. It was 2015.
There you go. Longer. There you
So
go.
9 years ago. That is insane,
That-
dude. That's fucking wild. And hell, even season 0 was 2020.
hmm.
Wow.
I would have guessed that was like a 21 probably, but
Yeah, it feels like I just played through them, but wow, I'm depressed now. But they're all great. So yeah, that's my number 30, Pandemic.
all right. Well, my number 30 was 36 last year, so it just climbed just a little bit. And this is one I like dice placement, especially in a good solid Euro game that has some unique elements to it. I think I showed you this game. I can't remember if we played it or not. I believe we did. And that is Lorenzo
We have
Il.
not played this. Nope.
I think I must have brought it then and we just didn't get to it because
Yeah.
so anyway, this game surprisingly when it first came out was a CMON release, which was kind of weird. At the time it was
That
like
is
their
weird.
first, but then they got Cranio Creations does it now and they've come out with a big box and second edition and all that stuff. But anyway, this game, like I said, is a dice placement game, and your dice. You have 3 dice, and each one of those represent a family member, and you roll those dice, and then you have to decide where you're going to place each one of them, depending on what you rolled, to get different things. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to score points in this game. Um, but the one thing you need to make sure and do is at the end of each, like there's ways to get prayer points because this track right here is like your prayer
Okay.
points and donations to the cathedral and stuff. And you have to reach these certain echelons throughout each round in order to not get punished. But
Okay.
sometimes when you decide to take the if you notice that's victory points, that's the number on top of that track. So if you push your luck and keep taking the negatives and just keep going down that track and then you decide to take it off, you gain those victory points, but
Oh, okay.
you're gaining negatives throughout the whole game. If you and they're random, these 3 things are your negatives, so that'll be different each game. So you can either just pay that in victory points to not take the negative, more or less. But if you just don't care about the negatives and you just want to go up and just score a shit ton of points, then you can do that. Also, there's these towers. They're kind of, there's like green, blue, yellow, and I think purple tower. And when somebody puts one of their family members in there, then you only one of your color can be in that row. So it kind of you have to make sure you're putting in whatever you place it, has to be that dice number. There's a lot of the dice number and all that stuff is kind of where you're at, and it's trying to manage, make the right moves, try to calculate what's going to give you the most. It plays through, I think, 6 rounds. You also, it doesn't show it on here, but you also have like a little board, sideboard that's in front of you that you keep track of like stuff on it, like your military and stuff too. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on with this.
Okay.
It's fairly easy to learn. I mean, I taught it to people pretty easy, even though it looks like it could be a little more complicated. Once you get the symbols down, it's a really simple game. If you get the expansion, that's the it's called, I got it right here, the Houses of the Renaissance. It gives you like like individual player powers to start off the game with
Oh,
and stuff
nice.
like that. So that's kind of nice. So yeah, I mean, this is one I think you need to try.
For sure.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's going to be your favorite thing, but you need to try just because it's something that might click for you. It's a fun one. It's almost like an
Hmm.
advanced Kingsburg in a way. I mean, you're trying to, if you like Kingsburg, you'll like this. This is a much crunchier version, where you're doing a lot more with it. And but yeah, I mean, and it's fairly inexpensive too.
Cool.
It's a good one to pick up and play.
Neat. Neat. Yeah, I definitely want to try this one. It's been on our list of games to try, but
Mhm.
we got other shit to play.
Too
There's
much.
always other shit to play. All right, my number 29 rose quite a bit. Last year it was 65. So it really shot up, and that's because I've played this game a lot more, and I've actually taught this game weirdly enough a lot more. Last time I taught this was for a 4-player game that went relatively well because it was 4 new players, and I was pretty surprised at how well it went. This actually just released I was gonna say major and massive expansion that I will be grabbing, and that is Imperium Legends. Uh, so this has taken the place of Imperium Classics and also Imperium Horizons, which is Horizons? Is it
Yeah.
Horizons?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
Uh, which is the new expansion that added like 16
Something like that.
expansion, 16
Crazy.
factions or civilizations. Um, yeah, this is a very unique and awesome deck building game where you play as a civilization, and there's a ton out there. Some of them are historical, others are made up. Like I know Horizons has a bunch that aren't like real, like they weren't real
Yeah.
civilizations.
There's one
Um,
that's cultists.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So they kind of really stretch. I mean, some of the civilizations I have are real, but they're not represented in like any game ever. So they really stretch the boundary. I mean, Legends, for example, has Arthur and
Mm.
Atlanteans, and so they kind of go from historical to fantastical. Um, but this game is great. Like they have every civilization has like their own way of playing and ways of scoring victory points. I love the like because you everyone has like their own deck, and most of the time everyone starts out as like a barbarian. And every time you cycle through your deck, you're adding in the top cards from like this civilization deck, this nation deck. And once you finish that, then you become an empire. And then once you cycle through your deck again, you have these specialized cards that you get to pick and add to your deck. So it's kind of like that's the unique deck building part of it. And then there's also cards that you're just going to get that are generic, that are going to be in every game. But what makes this game really shine, besides the amount of civilizations and how different they all are, it is uh the solo play.
Mhm.
Like the fact that each faction plays like so different in a solo setting just by having a chart of like, okay, well, here's the card that they're playing with this symbol on it. This is what they do. Um, it's genius. And I mean, David Turczi is the solo designer, so there's no real surprise there on why it's amazing. Um, yeah, I need to pick up the Horizons, which probably by the time this video comes up, I will have done so. Um, but yeah, it's just so good. They have really, I mean, some factions do play similar because historically they were pretty similar.
Right.
Um, but if you do kind of span out and don't play like Greeks versus Romans, it's like, oh
Mhm.
man, I wonder why they play the same. Well, because they were pretty similar. Um, yeah, they play radically different from one another, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk about this one probably down the road a
prob
little bit,
down the road in your a couple videos from now.
maybe. But
Uh,
the other thing that you didn't bring up on it, we'll talk, but the amount of actions, like it's a deck building game, but you actually spend actions to do stuff. So there's an action
right.
allotment that you do. Plus, a lot of your cards have that barbarian symbol on them that become worthless when you
Hmm.
move to the next deal. So it's like the deck building is you really have to almost think a little ahead, but you don't want to buy too many civilized cards until you are ready to switch over because then
Yeah,
they're going to be dead if you're a barbarian. So it's like you have to, it makes you think a lot more for a deck building
yeah.
game.
I mean, and there's also some like the Vikings, for example, can never become an empire, so they only have barbarian cards, meaning that a lot of the cards do nothing for them.
Hmm.
Um, it's just really neat, like on just how each civilization plays, like, and it's relatively straightforward of a game. Like
Yeah.
it's not symbol heavy that you're gonna be like constantly looking at a chart to figure out what's going on, it's really clean. Like, especially with resources that you have to manage, which are either victory points or population or goods. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they found a really awesome way to streamline this one, so that's why it shot up like 40 spots.
Yeah, it's probably jumped up because of the art, right?
I actually like the art for this one.
Yeah.
Mainly because there's not a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of grotesque monsters to look at. It's mainly like a ton of like settings.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my 29 Imperium.
All right. Well, my number 29 is a game that's been on my list for a version of it has been on my list for a handful of years ever since you showed this game to me. And then when this massive version of it went to, I believe, GameFound, where you could get every single component for it and the collector's complete edition and put it in one big box. It was 23 last year. It did fall a little bit, and mainly because I haven't played all the new stuff for it yet and stuff, so I will eventually get to it, but it's always going to be one on my list, and that is the complete collection of Everdell.
Nice.
This one, well, I mean, like I said, it's a tableau builder and worker placement and all that cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome to look at, and then when you get this complete collection, because I only had the retail version
Yeah.
of the base game, and then when this came, I sold that because I mean you get the awesome deluxeified versions of everything, and then if you spent a little extra money and got the resource holders that were all specialized, like the shell and all that stuff for the pearls and this and that just makes it look even cooler, and the wooden tree and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, this one, I have not played all the expansions,
Still?
so
Okay.
well, I mean the newest ones, like
Yeah.
I haven't done the newest ones yet. But yeah, I mean, the thought that went into this game about how they lay out the board and how the expansions connect to it, and it just kind of flows together and like and stuff.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and the art again on the cards is just outstanding, and the way you can chain together some good in your tableau, chain together some good actions and stuff. There's a lot to this game and a lot really awesome. I haven't played Far Shore either. I'm never going to mess with Far Shore because
I have played Far Shore.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
I don't see any. I mean, I'm sure there's some differences, but I mean,
let me tell you the long and short of it. It is very much. God, I am so bright right now. There we go. I'm like, yeah. The long and short of it is, it's Pirate Everdell.
Yeah. So I mean,
and you know how much it costs? Retail?
How much?
$100.
Son of a! Is it already is it just deluxeified all the way through?
No more than Everdell. Like, I mean, yeah, it has good pieces.
Yeah.
Not $100 worth.
Yeah. I'll just keep this.
Yeah. Well, apparently, from what I've heard, is they charged retailers, so retailers have to sell it for $100, or I guess they don't have to. I don't really know the full logistics, but they're selling it for $100. But on their website, they're selling it for $80. Yeah. That's how I looked at it. Basically, the only benefit that Far Shore has is in Everdell, the 8 cards that are out in the market can have doubles. So if you have the same card, they'll still fill up the 8. In Far Shore, you stack doubles. So
you get them all?
You don't buy them all, but they don't take up the slot. So you'll have 8, a variety of 8 cards.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I was like, oh no, that's a really good change. I'm gonna implement that in Everdell.
Might as well, yeah,
right.
As well.
Yeah. Anyway, no, Far Shore pissed me off. Like, it's a good game. It's good. But why ever get Far Shore when you can get Everdell when it has so much content?
Yeah, it seemed like a money grab. I think that's why I didn't kind of jump to to it.
Yeah,
But
it feels like they did the complete collection of Everdell and it was like, oh shit,
we
that's our
still make
money
more money.
maker. Yeah, we could have made more content for it, but we've done the complete collection. So hey, new new game.
Yeah.
That's how I
I think
took it.
I think the thing that caught me on this one, because I hadn't played too many games like this back when you showed this to me about the worker placement aspect of where, I mean, you start the game with so few workers, and
Hmm.
then but you get to choose when you move to the next season while other people, so it's like that's a unique thing back when this. I know the other games do it now. Uh, a little bit and stuff, but this one was the first one I had played that had done that where you get to choose so you need to maximize each season
Yeah.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's about being efficient, trying to stretch your resources as far um as they can go.
Yeah.
Until you're like, all right, I'm finally done. And then you move on. Yep.
I assume this is probably going to be in the same area, all the time,
Mhm.
just because, I mean, it felt 6 spots is all. And, once I get the new stuff played for it, I'm sure it'll be.
It's difficult though, because something about like having this big box is kind of like daunting to play. Like it's like, oh, I have to grab this whole fucking thing and blow my back out
Well,
trying to.
I'm not stickering the minis or the
I
meeples.
did. Yeah, you really, really don't need to at all.
Yeah,
So,
just
yeah,
leave.
no, it's a great game. Great, great game.
All right.
Cool. My number 28 is new to the list, and we'll see how, where this goes. I've played this multiple times and have had a fantastic time. I think you've even asked me about this game, like this one or the other one that was actually on my list way later, and I would recommend getting this one. I think it's easier to play solo. Um, and that is
Oh yeah.
Freelancers.
Yeah.
Um, so this is Plaid Hat Games Crossroads. I know they're doing another one that is sci-fi, that I will 100% be getting because they have knocked it out of the park.
Kickstarter.
Oh, that's right. That's their
Yeah.
first Kickstarter, isn't it?
Yep, it will be.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, um, yeah, so the other one is Forgotten Waters, and it's basically kind of like the same overall system. Um, Insanely great voice acting. Like Plaid Hat Games, like they don't do foreteller. They have their own, I guess, in-house way of doing voice acting for foreteller and this one. Like for this one of the guys is the English voice actor for Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. So
No,
it's like, holy shit, how are you grabbing those kinds of people? Um, but this one is D&D, like a lot of D&D elements in here. Same kind of overall, map book where you go there and then you have your own character that you are going to these locations just to make a check and have this whimsical, like hilarious. Like I know some games really try to be funny. Um, Whoever their writer is has killed it because these games are hilarious. Both this one, like there are party games that are like meant to just make you laugh, but that's not really the game itself. That's the group you're playing with. This game genuinely makes me laugh, like out loud. And so is Forgotten Waters, but this one just because I played a lot of D&D, like hits a lot closer to kind of home with just my experience. They did a fantastic job of also the character you're creating, where you you pick a race and a class and you just mix them together. Like they have a hound, the Mauser that's showing up on here. Like the Mauser Disgraced Noble and the Hound Paladin. Like those aren't like you can just pick the Hound Disgrace Noble or the Hound Ranger or anything like that. And that's going to kind of change your backstory because they again brought in the Mad Lib element where you have 4 questions that you just write out, and then as you gain experience, you get to read like your backstory,
hmm
and you'll use those Mad Lib elements, so it could be really hilarious of how those are put together. You gain items, make checks, using D20s and regular D&D dice. It is amazing. It's so, so good. And they're long too. That's the thing, is like there's not a whole lot of scenarios. Let me see if I can pull up the
Do
freelancers. Go ahead.
do you have to run 4 characters if you run solo, or is it?
Well, I don't know. No, because I've only ever like I've played it 3 and it didn't make you have to play as 4.
So I feel like you
Uh
could run it with 2 people,
yeah,
probably. So okay.
yeah. I know in Forgotten Waters they made some there's some weird rule to having like less than 4. You had to have like some extra card or something. I don't know for a fact if Freelancers does that. So they have 5 scenarios, 5 quests that you go on, ranging in from 2 difficulty all the way up to 4 difficulty. I've done the first one multiple times, and because of the crossroads element, you get, I mean, the overall story stays the same, but kind of like there are differences. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's not like, oh, you played 5 quests, you've seen everything. Nah, there's a bunch of just different events and things that can happen uh as you're playing even the same scenario. It's a great time. So I really like this one. I'm very excited for their sci-fi one because yeah, like this Forgotten Waters, even it's not really a Crossroads game, but their Familiar Tales, just their voice acting and storytelling is really top notch. So that's my number 28, Freelancers.
Are you at all worried that the new sci-fi one's going to be like the last sci-fi one, Gen 7?
Oh God. No, I am not. I think I think they either executed that guy, um, or yeah, because they've been on a great track record since then.
I think
Um,
Gen 7 was one that they made after they got bought too,
I think so.
before
Yeah.
they separated. So
And God did it was that was awful. Gen 7 was awful. So no, I am not worried that it's gonna be anything like that.
yeah. All right, yeah, I'm thinking about picking this one up, but it'll just be played solo if I do.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I there might be someone who has answered the question on whether it's good solo or not. I don't see any reason why it would be bad. Um, there might just be some rules you have to throw in.
all right.
So, actually, freelancers, let's see. Um, so it does say on BGG it's 3 to 7 players. So you might have to run 3 players.
Okay.
So, um, but yeah, looks like not recommended at 5 or 1 or 2. Well, I guess it can't be played true solo anyway.
Right.
Um, but yeah, give it a shot.
Yep. All right. Well, my number 28 is a game that has always been on my list in one form or another until it got redone a couple years ago or a year ago. I think it was a year ago. But and so it was 30 last year, moved up to 28, so
Ooh,
just a little
nice.
bit. We've played this. It wasn't your cup of tea necessarily. I enjoy playing it just because, well, as you're going to find more down this list, I'm a fanboy of this company. So let's jump right in, and that's Hop
Ah,
it's remastered with Chip Theory. Um, and yes, I am splitting up Hoplomachus Remastered and Victorum because they're different stuff. So spoiler. But
okay.
anyway, Hoplomachus Remastered. I had all the Hoplomachus stuff back in the day from their first stuff. Um, and there was a lot of I mean, they had multiple boxes. There was a lot of crossover in those boxes. There was so much crap it took up, 2 full boxes with all the mats and all the different chips. The art was clip art, generic art. This was their first game when Hoplomachus came out. That was the first one that went to Kickstarter for them, and it wasn't that big of a draw back then. But then it kind of picked up steam, and then they decided they were going to do this Hoplomachus Victorum, which was the solo only, kind of like a campaign kind of thing. And then they threw this on too, and so Hoplomachus Remastered pretty much is taking all that stuff, the original Hoplomachus, and paring it down. It has all original art now, so everything looks nice, um, and it's the same virtual gameplay. It's arena combat. You can play it in multiple ways. There's solo ways you can play it. There's 2-player cooperative. Then your versus 1v1, team stuff, all that jazz. Um, and it's pretty much, I mean, you just pick a tribe or a race, however whatever we want to say it, the clan, and you get a certain amount of chips out of them, and you just go for it. I mean, you're gonna battling until you're the last one standing or whatever the objective is. I mean, there's different objectives. There's area control or like um King of the Hill type stuff and all that
Mhm.
jazz. Um, they changed how the dice were. The original dice just had Roman numerals with 1, 2, 3 on it. This one has the swords and stuff, and they even made it. You really can't tell on the dice, but there's like it's a circle around the sword, but then there's little notches around it, and that tells you how many of those how many hits there are on a dice. So it kind of gives you
Mm.
that to say, um, so yeah, I mean, this one just for nostalgia purposes on there because I played all the Hoplomachus before. This just pairs everything down into one box, plus everything in this box, all the gladiators and tribe stuff can be used in Victorum and vice versa. So yeah, I mean, this one's a fun one, and I'm just a sucker for anything chip theory games at this point, and and if I think this might be I can't say that. I'm not gonna. I was gonna say this is probably my lowest ranked one, but I didn't.
No,
There's
you had 20 strong
yeah,
way
yeah. So
later.
yeah, so I couldn't remember if I had it on there or not.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll see how many more of these pop up throughout these lists. But yeah, this one's just top notch to me. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I find this game so subpar. It's so boring. I do like Victorum better than this one though. But and I know that they've implemented in Victorum like a way to make it faster. Because that game was a fucking slog. Uh, but yeah, like skirmish. But to be fair, skirmish games are very, very hit and miss for me, mainly miss. Uh, so there's very few skirmish games that I actually enjoy. Um, this was not one of them. So yeah.
Yes.
All right, my number 27 fell. It was number 15 uh last year and 36 the year before. This one will probably go up because I know they're doing a deluxe version for it, and I am gonna be getting that, so that'll probably just have me play it. But this one is a fantastic game by this company, one of the first in the T series games, and that is Teotihuacan. Yeah, Board and Dice. This kind of has started my love for this company. Board and Dice is just almost anything that they do. They haven't really had a game that I was like, this is bad. Like there are some that this one's not as good, but for the most part, um, it's they're pretty fantastic. Uh, not necessarily counting Zulkin in the T
You'll say you still
series.
haven't even played the best one.
No, no, I have not, but I mean, who knows? Like it might be like, wow, this is amazing, but I'd be very surprised if it beat out Teotihuacan, especially with the expansions that this one has. Uh, so this is a dice worker placement game where you are basically going around a rondel, utilizing dice that have various pips, like the dice represent the strength of that worker. And when you go to a location, like let's say the quarry, the strength of that worker and how many you have there will determine how many stone you get. And you need stone and you need wood and you need cacao to be able to get technologies to be able to build on the pyramid in the middle to get abilities like there's set collection with the mass that can be a ton of ways of getting victory points. Um, there are the three different tracks that this game has that you're seeing with the blue, red, and green. They are trying to go up on. Those can also get you special one-time powers or masks. Like the red one, for example, is just pure victory points if you're trying to just go up that one for a ton. Um, and what's also cool is your workers die. Like once they kind of hit 6, then they die, and then you go up on like the House of the Dead track, which is the gray track. And then you kind of start over with another die. But what's really cool about this is like the different the different spots for actions can be in any order. Like you have the actions printed on the board for what's recommended, that you can change that up. I really like when games do that. A lot of Euro games do that, where it's like, hey, here's what's recommended, but now you can change. Like Barcelona, for example, can change up where the action spaces are, and that in and of itself gives you a different way of playing the game. And the expansions for Teotihuacan added individual player powers, added an area control element, added weather. But the individual player powers was also neat because it'd be a benefit, like you'd have a special power, but you'd also have a negative tied to that. And that's really cool. There's not a whole lot of games that do that, where it's like, hey, you're really good at something, but also you have this to deal with. And it's like, oh, that's really interesting. So I have yet to ever see the pyramid get completed. I believe that's one way to actually end the game, is if you actually finish the completion of that pyramid. I have never seen it done. That almost feels like everyone is doing that in the game. But you can get tons of points for doing that. So this game is just fantastic. Like, I do really like Tekhenu. I've come around to Tawantinsuyu. I really like. Then there's like Tabanusi, which is also pretty good, but I don't really remember much about it. Then Terracotta Army, and then fucking Telatum. Like, so all of those are great. But this one, I played it first. That might be why it sticks around, but it's my favorite that I can think of. I'm just double checking that all of a sudden. Yeah, nope, none of the other T games beat this one out. So that's my number 27, Teotihuacan.
Good choice. All right.
It's a good choice. Very excited for
Mine-
the deluxe version though, because
Yeah,
that's
deluxe
gonna
version.
deluxify it, but also have a storage system for
Mhm.
everything. So that's gonna be sexy.
Yeah. All right. My number 27 was 44 last year.
Nice.
I have not played the newest expansion that was delivered through crowdfunding. I don't know if you've even brought this game up yet, or if it's already been on your list, or if it's going to be higher. And this was kind of a marvel, because when the game came out, I was super young and never did get to play the original. And then when Restoration Games decided to bring this game back out with today's technology, it made it badass, and that is Return to Dark Tower.
This is no longer on my list.
Really
because I don't own it.
interesting. I forgot
Yep.
you got rid of it.
Yep. And we could talk about. I was waiting for it to show up on your list, so we could talk about it. But yeah, no, this is not on my list because I omitted games I no longer own, and I got rid of this one.
Yeah. Well, this one was one that I was really jazzed about, because I never got a chance to play the original, and everybody kept talking about, that you'd see the old original versions, and the tower wouldn't work, or this and that. It was stuff. And then when this came out, this has made a ton of money for Restoration Games. It's a pure cooperative game. It's got the unique circle board, and broken into segments. You start off the game by picking your hero, and you start off with a certain area that you're in charge of, and skulls are going to be popping out of the tower at different points, and you need to place them on those little platforms in there. And if they ever get too many, then bad shit happens. The tower uses Bluetooth on your phone, so it rotates and makes sounds and lights up and does all this crazy stuff. And you're trying to do you can do different quests, and do everything, but you're kind of working yourself up to that one big showdown with the boss. And you have a lot of different bosses you can choose from. There's even that one aspect where you get into where you use your phone and kind of do like I can't remember what they call it, like you're going into a dungeon or something like that. And
Yeah,
doing
it's like
different
a
things.
quest. You can just delve
Yeah,
into a dungeon. Yep.
yeah. So you can kind of push your luck on that and spin different, soldiers and stuff because your soldiers are currency and different odds and that and this. Um, the first expansion brought in different kinds, colors of skulls and different stuff you could do with that. This newest one, I'm not 100% sure what it added. I haven't played with that one yet. Um,
Oh, the Covenant expansion?
was it? Yeah, I think that was the newest
It's
one, right?
awful. I
Really?
fucking hate it. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I got rid of it. It added new characters, which are cool. The characters were really unique. That was the best part of the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of it added because yeah. Well, keep going talking about it because I'm gonna talk about why I got rid of it.
Well, no, and that's fine because like I said, I haven't tried the Covenant yet. So, but
So
yeah,
basically,
yeah, go
in
ahead.
my review of that, one of the comments was like, "Do you even like this game?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah. Like, like if someone was to ask me to play, I'd be like, yeah. Like, it's a fun game. Because I played a lot of this. As I kept playing it, it got pretty boring. Because the characters, while innately cool, are pretty one note. Like they don't have a whole lot of variety to them. Like they're good at one thing, and that's
Hmm.
kind of all they're like. It's like, oh man, the warrior is good at getting a bunch of soldiers. This person's really good at getting spells. So, and that's it. It's like, well, what if I want to be good at something? It's like, well, no, um, the adversary, like you're, like eventually trying to, get to come out, kind of, they don't feel that different enough for me. And I found out, uh, like whenever you're fighting it, you can just take corruption to
Hmm.
win. Like, because there's nothing that says, oh, once you take corruption, you have to flee. Someone says that they house rule that, which makes sense to make the, final boss a lot harder. But if you just have to get through a certain number of cards, and let's say you get through like 3 of them, and you have to get through 5, I think, uh, then just take 2 corruption. Just be like, oh, I can't do this one, corruption. Oh, can't do this one, corruption. Okay, defeated 5, he's dead.
Right.
So things like that, you can kind of cheese it. It didn't offer enough variety that I was looking for anymore. Now, the technological achievement this game has, that tower is awesome. It has a lot of really cool elements to the game. Um, but that's kind of the reasons why I ended up getting rid of it. And that final Covenant expansion just did not do it for me at all. Because you can't like the Alliance expansion like adds guilds, which are
Hmm.
really cool, but you also cannot combine both the expansions. You have to pick which one you want to play with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I haven't really dove into it a whole lot. So,
Yeah, that made no sense to me. But yeah, like so if you want to play with guilds, okay, well none of the new expansion stuff can be used. If you want to play with the whatever they called, there was like some tokens that got placed on the map that caused you to stop your movement. That just gets placed out. They have these black cubes and stuff that are kind of like permanent cubes, or black skulls. You just couldn't combine, which blew my mind when I found that out because I was like, really? Like, when was the last time an expansion came out that you couldn't mix with other stuff?
right.
So weird design decision. So yeah, I no longer have this one on my list.
Alrighty. Well, that's my 27.
All right, my number 26. Rose. Last year it was 33. And the year before that it was 31. And I think we had talked about this a little bit already on your list. I have yet to actually try out the solo. Well, sorry, I have played the solo. I haven't done like the solo campaign enough. Um, but this one is not my favorite Alexander Pfister game. I don't know why I thought it was gonna be, but this one is my second favorite probably, and that is
Yeah.
Maracaibo. Maracaibo is amazing. The expansion again is awesome. That they added to this one and just added dual layer boards, which is great. Although he does dual layer boards really weird. Like he doesn't like you have to like fold them. Like you have to have like these sticky stickers, these double-sided stickers and you fold the board to make it double-sided. It doesn't come, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
Maracaibo is a rondel game, kind of like Great Western Trail and a few other games of his. And the really neat thing about this is you're kind of playing as a mercenary for the different factions. Like there's, I think it's Spain, England, and France. And you're trying to actually like jump between influence and get them to also even out their influence so that you get multiple points for being on their track the furthest, because it kind of becomes a multiplier, which is really cool. You're sailing around these various locations, stopping at different ports to trade goods to get benefits for that. What's also really cool is the game has multi-use cards, and these are multi-use cards. Like they have so many symbols on them and uses for them, whether they're goods, whether they're for locations, whether they're for points or for abilities. Like if you like hire a guy that he actually can be sent to a specific spot. Like, hey, this guy goes on spot 15. So when I go to 15, I have a special action that I can do there with this guy. I think that's really cool. They also have like an exploration track that's the green all at the bottom, where you have a worker that you're moving along to get benefits for it. There's a lot going on in this game that just really hits home for me. I couldn't tell whenever this game first came out if I liked this one or Great Western Trail more. But as time has gone on, they kind of have separated from each other. But this one is just so solid. I really do need to look into the solo campaign for it, because I know that has kind of a not legacy element, but it does change the board up. Not
Mhm.
permanently, but there are a bunch of different unique tiles that are like, hey, because of this happens, now you have a tile that overlays 17, 16, and 15 as this one major board. So now there's like a new action spot you can go to.
Mhm.
So really intrigued to see how that is incorporated. But yeah, the multi-use cards for this really make it shine. I also like the element of eventually, as the game goes on, like you get to Maracaibo really quickly, like at the beginning of the game, but as it goes on, then it becomes a lot shorter. Like you really start pacing out your turns, and it's like, when do I want to actually stop at port? Do I want to keep like keep stopping at every single spot that I have available, or do I eventually skip a few because I no longer need to go there? Upgrading your own board as the game goes on versus, hey, I want more cards in my hand, or I want more movement. Kind of very similar to um, Great Western Trail. Like they do have a lot of similarities here. But yeah, this one is really good. And I have not tried their like Uprising.
Oh, I was just
Like,
getting ready to ask you because I have it, the Uprising, but it's still in Shrink. I haven't
okay.
tried with it yet to know.
I have not, yeah, I don't know anything about it. I know it's not tied to this game. It's like its own separate game. So I
It's
don't
an
know.
expansion, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's an expansion for.
I'm like oh, let's look it up, Bradley. Maracaibo the Uprising. Oh, sorry, not the Uprising. That is an expansion. I'm talking about Maracaibo, Pirates of Maracaibo.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Maracaibo the Uprising is the expansion. It's really good. It's an awesome expansion. I was thinking Pirates of Maracaibo.
yeah. Gotcha.
That I have no idea.
Yeah, I haven't tried Uprising. You
You're
know,
like, what? Did you just say you like the expansion? It's like, no, I don't know anything about it. I'm lying. But yeah, Maracaibo at my number 26.
All right, my number 26 is an old game. It came out in 2011, and it was 39 last year. It climbed up because I've played it a few times this year, and I have a blast every time I play it, especially when you get up to 3, 4 players playing this game. I like card games, and this mixes enough stuff with it. Plus, I like football. So,
Okay. Oh,
Football Team Manager. This is a dead game to never be made again. It's I don't know if it sells for a lot or what, but it's kind of harder to find with all the expansions. But this throws in pretty much what this is. I mean, it says it in the name. I mean, you're the manager. So after you're trying to, at the end of the day, you're trying to be like the manager of the year. You know, that's kind of what you're doing while leading your team to doing stuff. So you're going to choose a race, and depending on your if you have the expansions or not, there's all different kinds of races, and you're going to start off with a basic team from them. And as you do stuff, and you may gain players and be able to recruit players, free agents to join your deck, but then you have to get rid of a card. So your deck's always going to be the same size. And depending, and there's also like leagues, I guess. So like you can't, there's certain factions you can't pull from, just depending on, you know, what if you're the humans, you have to pull from this one certain one, you can't pull from another one. But anyway, you're pretty much doing like almost like a smash up style. You know, there's going to be different highlights out on the board, and you're going to be playing your players to that to try to have the most power at each of those the highlight locations. There's a ball that starts in the middle, and there's the football symbol on cards will pull the ball that many spaces away, and you're trying to tackle and do different stuff. And there's a dice element where you roll and try to either tackle or injure or do different stuff. I personally like cheating tokens because they could be bad. There's a whistle because they're all face down. All the skull cheating tokens, you can get a shit ton of them, and they may give you power. They may give you fans. They may do whatever. But if you flip it over and it has a whistle on it, then that player's just ejected. So then that power goes away. So it's the risk. But you're doing you're going through, I think, like 5 weeks of games leading up to the Blood Bowl at the end. So you're trying to get the best players and the best deck built through those first 5 games, and then you go to the Blood Bowl, and then everybody ideally should have their most pumped up team, and then you just go in and see who reigns supreme after that. Victory points are fans, so the little flag is fans. There's a lot of cool stuff with this. A lot of the factions that come in. I mean, it's old school fantasy Blood Bowl factions. So if you know Blood Bowl, it's got all that stuff in it. And yeah, I mean, it's a good one if you like football and you like this kind of stuff. It's funny. Some of the stuff is funny and thematic when you look at what abilities they have on the cards and stuff. It's just kind of funny.
This was Fantasy Flight, right?
It was when it left because Fantasy Flight and
That's right.
And whatever the company
Games
Workshop when they split, this was one of the ones that suffered, along with several others. But yeah, I mean, this it comes in a small box, and it's just a fun time. And especially with more players, like when you're running a full 4, it's just chaotic as hell and fun to play.
Cool.
So that's
I've only played this the one time, so I don't really remember much of it.
You need to, I mean, 2 players pretty weak on this, just like playing 2 player smash up. I mean, we 2 player smash up, and this 2 players about the same. I mean, there's not much interaction, like when you have 3 or 4 people, you have to fight for that area. Because only 2 teams can be at each highlight. So you have to race to spread out your stuff. If there's 2 teams, you can't. That's where it's different from Smash Up. You can't just plug in
all pile on there
yourself. Like, only 2 teams can be at each highlight, so you have to kind of work that in there too. So,
gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, yep. Blood Bowl, my number 26.
Neat. My number 25 is a crossover with this very same list.
Well, I mean, it has to be Everdell then, right?
It might be. It certainly is. It is Everdell, the complete collection. Last year it was number 8, and the year before that it was number 40. So I remember last year being like an anomaly. Like, I was like, why is this all the way up at number 8? But I mean, Everdell is fantastic. It fell mainly because like I've played when I got my collection, like the complete collection, I did play it and I organized it all, but since then I haven't played it. It's sat like on my fireplace area and it's like, oh hey, yeah, this looks really good. But yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know why it's just daunting to want to play with all that stuff. But other than that, like Everdell is fantastic. Everything that you said, the tableau building, the worker placement, efficiency, this game works at any number of players. Like I really like it at any player count. Far Shore is a dog shit excuse to make money, even though it's a good game. Like that's the weird part is Far Shore is a good game, but I also hate it for its existence. Um, yeah, every expansion for this one is great. Like I think the weakest one is Pearlbrook, but that was the first one. But even then, it still added enough to keep the game fresh. I guess I haven't tried like the new solo, like the Spider
I
one,
haven't
where
either.
it's
Yeah.
but the Spire Crest is amazing. Belfair is amazing. The one with the train, Everdell, that one really opened up the game. New Leaf, yeah, New Leaf was awesome. So they made a really awesome game, and yeah, like it'll probably be always be really high up for me, but yeah, I do hope to get this played more often than I do,
Yeah.
but that massive collection thing, it's like, okay, like let's just don't fall, don't fall.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's my number 25, Everdell.
All right. Well, my number 25, you've already talked about, not on this list, but on one of the earlier ones, maybe even the last one, because it hasn't been too often long ago. This was one that it was 29 last year, so it went up just a little bit. I still haven't played all the scenarios for it, but um, this was in my mind when it first came out back in 2016. The use of the app um, was awesome with this. Like to my knowledge, this was the one that kind of really showed me what Fantasy Flight could do with apps at the beginning. Um, and I know they've done a lot of stuff with apps now, but this one's the one that really, with the music and the ambiance and all that stuff that you can get with it. And that's Mansions of Madness.
I have not talked about this because it's not on my list.
Oh, I thought you talked about it.
I don't know. I don't own this game.
Maybe you brought it up when we were talking about Eldritch Horror. Maybe
That
you
it was
were.
either, yeah. Oh yeah, because I think they're gonna do a third edition
Yeah, because you were.
at
Yeah,
some point.
that's what we were
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, but other than that, no. I do really like this game. I just know so many people who own it that
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need it.
Well, and I have everything for it at this point except for the Serpent expansion, I don't think.
Yeah,
Which I've been dragging my feet on that a little bit just because I haven't gotten all the other stuff played.
right.
But
Yeah, that's the last expansion that they made for it.
yeah, so I'll pick up eventually, but I haven't even touched the Horrific Journeys one yet. But yeah, I mean this one is one of those games that uh especially if you can set up a thematic deal with how you present the app, um,
Hmm.
where you if you can project it, and get it put up like on a big, like a TV, if you have one in your game room or whatever, where they can see it and have that music going and
Hmm.
everything. It just adds to the theme of it. And like this had, how they have the iPad set up.
Yeah.
This one, you can everybody can kind of see the stuff, but the puzzles are on there on the device, and so the scenarios can range from you know shorter ones to there's that one that's just god awful long.
Yeah,
I
the
can't
6 hour
remember.
one.
Yeah,
Yep.
so and there's a lot of stuff with this. The app, they have put out, haven't they put out stuff, just scenarios on the app?
Yeah, there's some that you can just buy.
Yeah,
But I don't think they've released any in a long time.
yeah.
This
So
game is essentially dead. Like they have not
right.
done content for it in
Well, then they
years.
need to come out with some sort of an organizer that fits everything.
A Fantasy Flight won't, but um yeah, I'm amazed that with how Asmodee is just so money hungry, how Fantasy Flight has not done Kickstarter or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm
Um
surprised.
But yeah, the Mansions of Madness. What was it? Path of the Serpent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
the one.
came out in 2019, so that was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
It's
which
it's about time that they announced a third edition
I just
or
don't
second
know.
edition Eldritch Horror, like I
I
said.
would see him going the Eldritch more than
I'd be
this right
fine with
now,
I'd be fine with either.
just because they have to. There's more money to put into this with the app development and stuff.
That's true, but they can also charge more.
That's true. Yeah. So I don't know. This one though is I mean I don't like those bases on the minis. Those are kind of dumb.
They're awful. The
Yeah.
minis are so bad.
But the everything else kind of carries it up. Because really wasn't into Cthulhu stuff a whole lot. Elder Sign was my thing, and then this was my other one.
Hmm.
That kind of changed a little more and more as times went on with Death May Die and the LCG.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean this one will probably always be around, and it may get replaced if there's a third edition. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
I don't plan on trying to pick this back up just because, I mean, you own it. My friend Devin owns it. Like, I know everyone who owns this game. So it's like, I don't need to own it as well. But if they do a third edition, then I probably will.
yeah, yep.
But
So
yeah,
that's
this game is great. Like, unlike your other one, Return to Dark Tower, like between the two, I'd much rather go out and get this one.
yeah,
It is fantastic. But at the same time, Arkham Horror LCG is still being pumped out with content. So I'm like, I'll just stick with that I'll never play all of it.
yeah. Now on
So
a side note, did you see we got charged for Age of the
I,
Apocalypse today?
yep, I certainly did.
Another Marvel Champions campaign.
God, I know. Uh, but good choice. I do like this game a lot.
Yep. All right.
All right. My number 24, Rose last year was number 28 and number 51 in 2021. Unlike you, I combine these because really at this point I play one to play the other, but they're both fantastic. I have not tried the new expansion yet, but I'm really hoping they just continue to support it, and that is Role Player and Role Player Adventures. Look at that. They're both on here. Um, but yeah, they like you. I mean, a couple episodes ago, you had talked about both of these at some point. Role Player is a awesome dice placement, dice drafting game about making a D&D character. They have so many, not so many. They have a ton of expansions, but there's a lot of content, a lot of the cards to really create any character you want to make. Although that's not really what it's about. Like you're given a like a background and a role and a class and a race, and you're trying to build out the character that would fit those criterias. Um, the expansion for role player again lets you do stuff with them by going out and fighting monsters. That's really cool. But then they made Role Player Adventures, which was a scenario driven campaign game, but they did it in such a way that I really enjoyed was that you basically played scenario to scenario and they were all different. It connected, but like it was like one chapter is you're in like a prison and it's like that's where you're at. So it's not branching enough to where it's like Sleeping Gods level where you're just going from random location to random location. It's like, nope, this is where you're at. These are the maps for this scenario and the choices you can make here. And that was really refreshing. But it was really cool. Oh man, she got me even two separate pictures. Nice. Um, but yeah, you can take the characters that you made in role player and input them into role player adventures. So, which is kind of weird to do because in role it's a competitive game. You're trying to get the most points. Um, but so whenever you're like drafting cards and taking cards, it's kind of like, hey, this would be really good for me to win right now. But it's like, yeah, but I'm trying to make a rogue, and that's good for me because we're playing this to play role player adventures. So you kind of play role player cooperatively because role player adventures is cooperative. But yeah, I know they did some updated rules to role player adventures to make it not as easy because by the end of the game, you can just it didn't matter. It's just like who cares what the dice are because we
Right.
have so many cards and so much shit that we're gonna almost succeed at every single challenge. I know they've kind of lowered that. They've lowered the amount of camp actions you can do. So spending cards is a little bit more of a decision. But yeah, this is fantastic. Again, I haven't tried the Gold Packs The Secret
Never
to
knew.
Role Player Adventures, so I know that's its own separate thing. Like you can't carry over characters from the first campaign into it. You have to make new ones, which I like. I think that will be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's my 24 Role Player and Role Player Adventures.
Adventures is so damn heavy.
It really is.
That's
Like
a
it's
massive heavy box.
yeah. Like they did a really good job of having being able to organize it. I
Hmm.
haven't tried to put the expansion into it, so maybe it's not that good with that. But I don't know. I feel like Thunderworks should just kind of make this a lifestyle game because
Yeah.
all their other games don't really do that well. Like it's like Tenpenny Parks, people are kind of like the art. I mean, they didn't support it. They did the Dawn of Ulos, which is in this world, but it's like, yeah, man, people are kind of just wanting role player stuff that should be your bread and butter, so just keep supporting it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what they do.
All right. Good choices.
Yeah.
Um, all right. My number 24 was 25 last year, so it's pretty much right where it was.
Ooh.
This was a top 10 game a few years ago. It's just kind of like hung around here. This is not now. I have not played all of the games by this designer and this company, but this is still my favorite that I have played because of its ease of play and its art style and its vibrancy and all that stuff. And that is Raiders of the North Sea. Um,
You
so yeah,
do like this one.
oh yeah, I love this one. Um, and the expansions do really cool stuff with it as well. This one Viking themed, obviously, but you are it's got the worker placement aspect where you are going to be taking actually two actions a turn because you will be placing a worker to take that action, and then you're going to pick up a worker. So you're only ever going to have one meeple on your with you. So you drop off, take an action, pick up someplace else. You can't pick up the same one you dropped off to get double actions. And what's cool about that is because you need to. It kind of is like a game outside the game because you need to. You don't want to leave the door open for your opponents. You know, if you pull up the wrong thing or whatever. But and then certain actions require certain colors of Viking workers. So like this is white and gray, can go there. But black can't. So there's different ways of doing different stuff. But all in all, what you're doing is you are gaining resources, you are hiring crew, which isn't in this picture. But you get Viking crew that you get, and then you're eventually going to set sail. So you'll place one of your workers over this overseas at one certain different places, and you'll gain if you have enough attack power or whatever, you will defeat that. But then you will if there are those the Valkyrie tokens, you have to lose work or lose some of your Vikings. But that's not a bad thing all the time because when you lose Vikings, there's a Valkyrie track. So you're moving up the Valkyrie track as well, which gives you victory points. And you're eventually just trying to work yourself all the way up towards the top of the island, rating. It costs more and more stuff. The higher you go up there, but you gain more stuff, victory points, so on. And yeah, it's just a really cool, easy to learn game. This was one of those games that came out before all of the Garfield games had their solo mode in encompassed in the board game.
Mm-hmm.
So like the solo mode for this is a small deck of cards, and I actually had to order it from Europe to ship to me. And the solo aspect of this is really cool too. And this was it was kind of the basis of what the other ones are all go on, you know. But
Right.
but the expansions for this, the Fields of Fame and the Hall of Heroes, just add more choices and more stuff that you can get points on. It's just this is just one that fits for me. I love worker placement. I like the changes it does with this. I love being able to take 2 actions and the levels that does. It just feels like you do more on your turn when you do that, instead of just taking one and waiting for 3 other people to
Right.
go and then go. You're actually like doing stuff, and it keeps it fresh. And yeah, this one is just a top-notch one that'll always be in my collection.
Sure. No, I agree. It's very unique. I haven't played this in years though. Like
Yeah.
I think I played it once like years ago and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, whenever I said that what was it, 4 fell? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, I actually only meant 4 because apparently my number 23 was also 23 last year.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the same. I told you this was gonna be an all over the place top 10. This game is fantastic and one of the first to kind of come out in this genre, which is finally becoming a like almost a bloated genre. Like you were seeing this come out a lot more. So my number 23 is Townsfolk Tussle, which is a boss battler. That's the genre that I am referring to. You are seeing that a lot lately. Which is great because I really, really like the genre. Um, Basically started by Kingdom Death Monster and it held the market forever. And now there's just a bunch out there. I mean, this one, Vagrant Song, Oathsworn, Aeon Trespass Odyssey, which is basically really inspired by KDM. Um, you have new ones coming out, Dante's Inferno, Primal, The Awakening, Awakened Realms just announced. Fuck, it looked really cool. Grim something. Grim Grim Slinger, Grim something. Anyway, they announced another one that is supposed to be a boss battler. But so yeah, there's a ton. And this one is basically Cuphead, the board game. A lot more closer to Cuphead than even the Cuphead IP game that came out, that no one liked. Uh But yeah, so this game is you have these wacky characters that have stats that you're going to be getting and equipping items to. You have 4 fights that you're always going to do in this, where just kind of like they get progressively more difficult as the game goes on. But they have like different rules depending on when you fight them. You have 2 phases of the game, which is like the shop phase where you buy items and complete events, and then you have the fight phase. And it's a boss battler. They have all the characters that are gonna run off an AI deck. Um, and yeah, I mean, you fight them. It's really, really good. Like they do an awesome job of just incorporating like the theme. Like it's very wacky. It can be really crazy with like the character builds that you can get. I love the positional movement. One thing about these kind of games that it's such a small thing, but it really will make me like or dislike a game. And we've talked about it before with some other ones like Descent is diagonal movement. Like if you can move diagonally, it really just bothers me because it's like there's like positioning is just you can get anywhere at any given time, so you don't have to strat like. But whenever you can move orthogonally only, that and how you draw range and stuff, that makes it a lot more tactful. And this game has that. It has terrain that you can interact with, tons of different characters, and yeah. And they have expansions coming, which is gonna be awesome. I spoke to these guys a lot at Gen Con last year. And yeah, just kind of picking their brain over what the expansions are gonna bring, and they very excited for those. More bosses, more characters, more events, like more stuff. This is coming. So yeah, this one is really, really good. So that's my number 23.
I need to. I kind of missed out on this one. I was kind of lukewarm when you and I played it. This
Oh,
is
right.
one. This is one I probably needed to play more. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I kind of really wasn't into boss battlers as much either. But that's kind of come around. Uh, because like Oathsworn I really enjoy and stuff like that. So this one I kind of was late to the party. I'm kind of hoping maybe they'll do another project so I can
Yeah.
get in on it.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, obviously they haven't released their new stuff yet, but this is like this company's only project. So I don't know if they're gonna move and do something else or if they're just gonna keep making content for this. Who knows? But
Yeah.
yeah, I love boss battlers. I will jump on almost any of them I can see.
I need to look and see if they have late pledges because I don't know how long ago that was when they did
Well,
that expansion campaign
I can let you know in a sec.
with that damn pitchfork guy that we fought. It's,
The
an
pitchfork
asshole.
guy.
Like
Oh,
that one we fought. That
yeah, the straw guy.
yeah, the straw guy. That idiot.
Yeah. Sammy Strawman or something. Yeah, he just like runs around and just impales you. Let's see. It was, let's see, Foul Neighbors and Odd Jobs. Yeah, it looks like it's closed.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably come out with something else down the road.
Probably.
But yeah, that's a good choice.
Sweet. So yeah, that's my 23.
All right, my number 23 jumped a metric ton. This is my highest riser of this list. Mainly because I played the original version of this a while back. I mean, it just missed my list last year. It was 107. And then we got this new fancy version of it, and it is pretty sweet. I still need to play a lot more of it because there's different other modules I haven't messed with as much with it. But that is Castles of Burgundy.
That did jump a lot.
Yeah.
What did you say, 107?
It was 107. Yep.
Wow.
Well, this is one I've always been interested in this game, and I've been kind of turned the corner a little bit into more. I like Euros a lot more than I used to. I think I brought that up on a last list. Like I used to just want all the dice chucking and all that stuff, and I've kind of turned into more about a 50-50 Euro gamer.
Yeah.
Deal, but this one, is just a badass looking version from Awaken Realms. This is my only Awaken Realms game that I own, and but yeah, I mean, if you haven't, Castles of Burgundy originally came out, I think, like 2011, and so when they announced this, because I had the old version of it, and then when they announced this, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be badass, and having all the acrylic tiles and all that different stuff. But pretty much, if you haven't ever played this, it's like you pretty much there's a certain number of phases. I think it's like a 5-round game, and you will roll 2 dice, and then those dice are going to decide on what you do with different odds and ends. There's also a supply dice, a goods die, I think, that gets rolled by the first player. So that does that. You're going to be picking up tiles and slotting them into your board, trying to create an interesting, I can't remember what they call them now. Let's see if it should. Princedom. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, that's not a kingdom, but a princedom. So there's just a lot of cool stuff with this, and it's Steffenfeld, so I mean, you're getting points for a lot of different things. I haven't tried. It looks like these people are using the vineyard thing back in there in the back. I haven't the vineyard expansion thing yet, but the only thing that irritates me about this, well, because I got the sun dropped minis and all that crap, too, but I'm sure they said it, but it wasn't very forthright, like the acrylic of the other tiles, like we got the acrylic of these, but the acrylic like tokens and all that stuff, kind of a lot of people overlook that, in the deal.
Well, I mean, it's you can't blame them whenever there's an all-in pledge, but then they also have add-ons.
Right.
It's like,
yeah,
fuck you guys.
I know. I mean, that's Awaken Realms for you, huh?
Yeah, it really is. but yeah, there's a lot of companies that kind of do that now too, where it's like, hey, like, cause they have a gameplay all in, and then they have
Mhm.
an all in, and it's like, hey, here's everything you need to play the game, but I really hate that.
Well, and then some add stuff in the pledge manager
Yep.
that wasn't, and then you don't know if you're getting it in the all in. So you have to do research to see if it was part of that or if it's something,
Yeah,
you know. But anyway, I mean, this is did you talked about this earlier, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, this was on
Okay.
my list for
Okay.
sure. It is really, really good. It was 52.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is one I would like to play more, and
Yeah,
this almost runs in that whole Everdell thing like we were just talking about earlier. It's a big box and there's a
yeah.
lot of stuff, so it's not quite as bad, but I mean the way they have it set in that box,
It's
it's like
kind
a
of awkward.
yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
puzzle kind of stuff,
Which
but
is not really surprising because Awaken Realms is not good with inserts.
yeah,
Like I mean, I just got my ISS Vanguard stuff in, and it's like, oh, you want to sleeve your cards? Okay, well, good luck. Uh, because they provide really good sleeves, but then they have this, like for ISS Vanguard, they actually, in the sleeve box that come with all the sleeves, they added inserts that were meant to replace the insert to the base game with the sleeve stuff, but it's like that's not said anywhere. So
yeah,
it's like it's little things like that. It's like, just why can't you just be intuitive
yeah,
with your shit? Why can't you take into consideration, like, how hard is it to just make a box for sleeved cards, especially if you provide sleeve stuff, and then just, for people who don't want to sleeve their cards, just put in a foam brick.
right, yep,
It's boom. Okay, now it's still going to stay there. I don't know. Like, a lot of the companies could really do with a tutorial on how to organize games, because that'll get your game played or not.
yep, exactly. So yeah.
But yeah, this one's great. And I mean, silver lining, if by the time this video goes up, which actually is relatively quick, they're doing a second printing
Oh
for
really?
it.
That's
Hmm.
good.
Doing a
Well, I did,
second printing for this, and you know what other game that Awaken Realms is redoing?
maybe it's the one I heard. What is it?
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to bring up Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I didn't know Awaken Realms was doing it. I knew
Yeah,
they were
they
doing the deluxe version.
yeah, they announced a like their, like, I guess, game plan for 2024. Yeah, Awaken Realms 10th anniversary. They're reprinting Castles of Burgundy. They're doing Puerto Rico special edition. Grim Coven was their other boss battler. That's what it was called. Um, but yeah, I mean, they're amazing. Like, I love Awaken Realms. Kind of like with you are with Chip Theory, I
Mm,
am with Awaken Realms. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, they did the Robinson Crusoe thing, which, I mean, I know that campaign was like botched and super shitty, but I think that was more on Portal's side
yeah,
more than Awakened Realms. But I finally got all my stuff in, and I'm like, great.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's organized really well. That Book of Adventures is amazing.
Yeah.
But again, they did that other shit where it's like, I have everything except in the tray I'm missing an add-on for like a little mini, because
Oh, is it the monkey?
it's the monkey.
Yeah, because I saw somebody post on Facebook. They're like, "What goes in this empty spot?" And somebody's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a monkey add-on."
Yep. Yep. Which, I mean, Portal usually has all that stuff on their shop.
Yeah,
But still, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? They have like the pets at, like, hey, I got the pets thing, but for
right.
some reason the monkey wasn't it's like, okay, whatever. Anyway, that's not really Awakened Realms' fault. Um, but yeah, I mean, they might be the company to bring back all these old,
Maybe.
like old
Yeah,
games that are really good.
because I have the old original Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
I have never played it. I bought it a long time
Oh,
when it's set in my
I thought
deal.
you
I've
thought you
never
had played it.
not Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So I mean, I would be tempted to get the fancy version if I knew. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's number one forever.
I know a lot of people are going to be doing the Castles of Burgundy one so they can get the acrylic tiles.
I'm wondering if you're able to just do the add-on and get those,
Probably.
you
I don't
know,
know. We'll
like
find
do a
out.
yeah, we'll see. All
Anyway,
right.
good
That was
choice.
my 23.
Nice. My number 22, this one barely fell. It was number 18 last year. Um, and I know this will be higher on your list because you just have a fucking hard on. You'll probably just shoot a fat one as soon as I mention this game. Um, It is really, really good. They actually have continued to support it more than I thought they would, and there's a ton of content for it. Very unique from Chip Theory, and that is
Oh, here, let me
Burn
cover up my
Cycle.
camera.
Oh god! Oh, oh god! Ew, I'm jonesing. Uh, yeah, Burn Cycle is a fantastic infiltration game, kind of like not really combat or anything, even though you can go that route. Wouldn't really recommend it, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a sci-fi robots infiltrating corporations, so very not steampunk, very cyberpunk
Yes.
is what the overall theme is. Utilizing a really cool chip system. Excuse me, a really cool chip system of the chips are going to kind of denote how many actions you get, but over time they will degrade. But the color of the chip will give you an enhanced action, so you're kind of trying to control what like what's there. So whenever you can like kind of program your actions a little bit. It's like, okay, this turn I want to, infiltrate, like I want to, move a lot. And the next turn I want to hack. So you kind of want to put them in a certain order so you get the best benefit of those chips. There's so much content for this game just in the use of the robots. Because every robot it plays completely different. They have their special ability, and you can get upgrades for them. As well as they can be used as your
Command module.
whatever. Yeah, there you go. Command module. Yeah, so they all have a reverse side that's like you always have a command module that has a kind of like passive ability, but they're also a character you have to control. But yeah, there are 5 corporations now. I think there's 5. I think 3 came with the base game, then they had an expansion, then they just released the Ebwall expansion. 4 or 5 corporations, anyway.
Yeah,
you
might
are
even be 6. I can't remember.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
4 through 6 corporations that have kind of like their own theme about them, but the variety comes in the missions that you go on. So each corporation has a ton of missions that range off the difficulty for them and the length of time and what your objectives are for the game. But it's at first I was like kind of disappointed that the layout wouldn't be different every single time. Like each floor is gonna have the same exact layout. But in all reality, the missions are so variable that it actually doesn't matter. And it even makes thematic sense. Like, why would you go to the same corporation? Why would it look different?
Right.
And yeah, just the different bots, the guards, how they patrol is like thematic. Like I remember the one time that you and I played together, like you get these really cool cinematic moments of how you have to like break out of like the president's office, and like it was like, oh shit, how are we gonna get there? And it's like we had like this grappling hook that like we shot that let me shoot across the room, and then we threw a smoke bomb down and just like flipped off as we jettisoned out the president's office. You just get those really cool thematic moments that Chip Theory is really great about doing when their presentation, while their production is top notch. I mean, they don't really look amazing on the table, I think. Like it's very flat. Like I mean, they're chips, but they're extremely thematic with their gaming. So yeah, Burn Cycle is awesome. Not for everyone, because because it is infiltration. It's like, hey, do you prefer Assassin's Creed or do you prefer Thief? Do you want to go out and kill a bunch of people, or do you want to avoid conflict at all costs until shit hits the fan? That's completely up to you. Um, although if you want a combination of both, not even Chip Theory, Reichbusters does that.
Yeah.
Where it's like infiltrate, but then it's like, oh, the alarm! Oh my god, okay. Then the guy with the 2 Tommy guns is like, yeah. But yeah, it's this one's just really cool, very unique. That's my number 22.
Then there's a lot of humor in it too, like the stories and some of the items and stuff.
Yeah, they're very tongue in cheek.
The one that we did was like you were trying to get pretty more or less like the Teddy Ruxpins, where you were trying to
That's right.
The teddy bear thing and all that.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're very tongue in cheek with a lot of like references and things like that, which is good.
And when we talk about this, some ways down this list,
Hmm.
we'll discuss more about what the actual burn cycle and and this little the hacking.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean
uh,
those are just awesome, like little almost like side game kind of stuff that just
hmm.
adds to it and stuff.
Yeah,
It
I
this
want to
is
give you something to talk about. So,
yeah, this is this is an outstanding game.
so yeah, that's my. And I can't remember. Like, when you play? Do you play when you run two people and the command module, or do you run one and the command module?
I run two.
You run two. Okay.
Yeah. Just because it helped it with the variation and it's not that much more difficult. I
Hmm.
mean, you just have to say, especially because we both have this big play mat
Yeah,
like this, and you just set them right there next to each other, and you just sit right there and you can control them and
that's true.
go with it. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so this game is fantastic. My number 22, Burn Cycle.
Perfect. My number 22 was 17 last year. This is the other one that fell just a tad bit. Um, it's mainly just because I haven't played it quite as much this year, but that doesn't change how much I like it. Um, I have everything for this game pretty much now, thanks to you, since I bought everything that I was missing when you sold your collection of it. This was a top 10 game. It's just kind of sliding just a little bit. It's always going to be on my list around this spot. That is Fire Team Zero from the
Nice.
company that no longer exists.
Yeah.
Um, and this game is this is a very under like people don't know this game. I mean, it was a Kickstarter way back in the day.
Yeah, like
It
it
came out
really
in like
went under the radar.
2015. It's yeah, under the radar. That's the term I was looking for. But it's a game based on series books by the same name. Makes me interested to read those books. But you're this specialized team, the Fire Team Zero. This is an alternate reality World War II setting where hell is rising up, and there's all these scenarios and little linked. It's almost like campaign, the little tiny campaign type things where you're using these soldiers and different stuff to do whatever it is, and it's a brutal game. I mean, like,
Hmm.
'cause I played it a bunch, and that first scenario is just rough. But then when you guys came over that time and we finally beat it somehow, but
I
this is one
know, it was so weird.
this is one of those games where there's going to be spawn points. There's going to be the same number of spawn points almost in every single scenario, and there's a phase in the game where you're going to roll dice and spawn monsters that are off the board, and they just spawn and they can move so fast because they don't have any terrain limitations, so they can just fly from one side of the board to you almost. So you really have that pressure on you to get your objective done. This has multi-use cards, so you can use your card as an attack ability to do stuff. But the bottom half of the card is like reactions and stuff that you can use on somebody else's turn to help them. It may, move this person a couple spaces, or do something, give them an extra shot or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and you can upgrade that between missions. You'll get new stuff to put in your deck and everything. Um, when you play through this, I mean, there's different monster families that you can use, and they have different minis and odds and ends, and they will change throughout the game. So they will evolve to be either more stronger or have more shields, different stuff like that.
Hmm.
This game has it has the one part is divisive on this game is the coin.
Yeah.
It's like a silver dollar that you have, and when one of your people get knocked down, if it's you flip it, it starts the game heads up, it'll go heads down, and then if somebody else dies when it's heads down, you lose. Um, there's different ways and different objectives that pop up that let you flip the coin. It's a super simple thing just to take out. I mean, just not worry
True.
about the game. I mean, it's just some things will say flip the coin over, in a bad way. So
Yeah.
you can house rule that out of there because the game itself is a really fun, intense, cooperative game. Um, and when you have all the stuff, there's you got the Europe cycle and the Africa cycle, which brings in different kinds of terrain. There's just tons of stuff out for this right now. It's a shame that the company went under, but yeah, I mean, this one's just one of those games. I mean, it's a blast from start to finish, and
Yeah.
and the minis are really cool looking too. I mean, they're for a company that this was their only game.
Hmm.
Minis are really cool. I mean, I know they've been eclipsed by the stuff you see now with, you know, Cool Mini and all the big companies, Awaken Realms and all that crap now. But uh, but yeah, I mean, this one's a really cool one, and if you can find it, try it out.
Yeah, I agree. It is a really good one. But because I sold it to you, I was like, I'm not losing much. If I can play it, then I can
No,
play
no,
it.
no, because when I bought that collection from you, I just took all the stuff out that I needed and then sold everything else for a little under what I paid you for everything. So I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it was just kind of,
Exactly. All right. And the last one for this segment. This is my other new one for the list, but it is certainly not a new game. I have been like just really enamored with it since I mean, I knew about it all the time, but because I had played other games from that genre, I never felt a need to ever play it. And then I did, and I'm like, this is so good. And that is Dominion. So Dominion, specifically second edition, is all I've played. It is what a lot of people consider to be the start of deck building. But like I said, I had played a bunch of other deck builders, so I never felt a need to go out and try this. And then just one day I was I don't remember where I was, but someone had their copy, and I was like, oh sure, yeah, let's play it. And yeah, just the simplicity, the amount of variety that's in Dominion and the combos you get for the pure deck building is just everything that I look for kind of in a card game. I am slowly but surely trying to acquire all expansions for it, um, just to have that sheer amount of way to play. Um, like it's insane. I mean, and the expansions are very like thematic to what they're bringing. This also includes like in the rule book what I like for a lot of card games is kind of like themes over what kind of game you want. And it's like, hey, here you want this kind of game, use these cards in the market. And and I really like that. A lot of other games kind of do that, but Dominion probably was doing it first. But it's very straightforward. Like everyone starts with the same amount of cards, and pretty much from there, like your first buy is gonna just make everyone's decks completely different with what's all in the market. And what's also cool is they do have attack cards that you can have, but they typically just affect everyone. So you're never like specifically targeting one person. Like one could be, hey, everyone discard down to 3 cards. Everyone else does that unless you have some defense cards, but it is just, I mean, it's old, and I know a lot of people don't really like the art. I actually do like the art. I think it's very reminiscent of like the time period that they're putting in the game, but I don't hate it. And yeah, and also the app for it is so fucking good.
yeah, I was
Like
just going to bring that up that it just came out not
it
too long ago.
did drop, and man, is it amazing. Like I don't play a lot of app games, but Dominion is definitely a time sink for that. And they have all the expansions on the app too. I don't have those. Um, but I remember one time because they have like daily challenges you can do, and I was like, oh sure. And then it's like all this extra shit because the daily challenges are what you can actually try the expansions for. But it's like, yep, includes these 5 expansions, and I'm like, oh my god, what did they add? Because I only have a few that seem like it adds just cards, but then there's like other like zones that you area control for, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. But it's a fantastic app that is free unless you want to get the expansions for it. So I highly recommend if you haven't played Dominion for any reason, the app is a great way to try it. And yeah, it's shot way up. way up
Yeah.
on my list.
Somebody said that they tallied it up. All the expansions, if you buy them on the apps, like $100 or something like that to get
Yeah, they
all.
have a bundle. Yeah, they
Oh,
have like a release bundle where you can get all the expansions for $100.
geez.
Um, I don't know if that's cheap or if that's good. I mean, it's definitely gonna be cheaper than buying them in real
Oh yeah,
life.
yeah, for sure. There's so many damn expansions out.
Yeah, I think there's 15,
Yeah.
15 expansions. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely an avenue, and the AI is really good. Like they like I play on medium um for the most part, and I win and lose just depending on how I'm trying to win. Um so it's a solid one. And I don't really advocate for board game apps. Like I think like they usually just don't do it for me, but for some reason Dominion just is like I'm like, "Oh my God."
Mm-hmm.
So that's my number 21, Dominion.
All right. My number 21 was a game you talked about, I believe, on the last list. Um, and this one is my highest rated Fister game, and
Okay.
that is Boon Lake.
Moon Lake.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, this one I is I mean, I've played a few of his games. This one though, just for some reason hits with me. You know, I like the action selection part because there's those bars that they're action bars almost. It's I don't even let's see what the picture shows. Oh yes, perfect.
Oh, nice.
So over here there's these action bars that you'll take, and um the the premise of it's like you know when it's your turn you're gonna pick an action, you're gonna do what it says, but then everybody else gets to do the lesser action, which I know is done in a lot of different games. But um you there's different stuff that transpires, like depending on how far up and down this track it is, you know, you get better or worse results. So it kind of pushes you to do the easier one. Um and then it just goes down to the bottom, and then it just keeps filtering up.
Mm,
This one follows a lot of this stuff like the Fister games where you're kind of going in circles. You know, you're gonna be traveling along the river, and you may go in a circle, and then the part will unlock, you know, and you'll keep going around. There is in game things that'll be different each game uh, to show, you know, for in-game scoring purposes. So that adds to replayability. Your own personal board that's shown like down there at the bottom. You have all these houses and cows and all this different stuff on your board that you can put out onto different places that you are settling in, and that'll open up victory points. You have those little window looking things. You can get those, and you can use those. You slide those levers down or up. You slide them up. Oh, no, wait. They start up. You slide down. Yeah. So
mhm.
to do the action,
Yeah.
um, and it just turns into this game where there's a lot of decisions to make, but everything feels nice when you do it.
Mhm.
There is interaction, you know, and there is stuff like that. You're going to have different cards that you're going to play that'll do different stuff. Um, and we will be probably trying the artifacts expansion, which I'm not 100% certain what that all adds. It looks like you're sending out treasure hunters to find treasures and mysterious artifacts on a new map. So that'll be interesting to see what that does. It looks like it's a map board that goes on the side, maybe like a
Okay.
sideboard. But anyway, so but this one, you know, his games are all solid anyway. I mean, he does a hell of a job with his games. I haven't played some of his other versions of like the Western Trails and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, but Maracaibo, you know, and this one were my highest ones.
Mhm.
And I'm interested to see if they keep doing anything else with this. The theme is kind of weird if you look at the
Yeah.
box cover. But if you just take the box cover out of the equation, then it makes, you know, it just looks like a good old good old fashioned civil, not civ building game, but like colonization game, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, this one is a blast to play, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean,
No.
you said a lot in the last list. I believe
Yeah.
it was the last list. But yeah. So Boone
Cool.
Lake is my number 21.
Nice. All right. Well, that was it for this segment, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Only 2 more left before we are done with the top 100. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. Other than that, maybe I won't be so bright next time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.